So, good morning, everyone. Marcel here with Unveil Wealth. I'm here with Max Brandon at the beautiful Ringgold Plaza commercial building downtown. It's actually a historical building in downtown Guntersville. Max is a realtor with RE/MAX here in Guntersville, and I invited him down to talk about investment properties more so than real estate. We will touch a little bit on real estate at the end. Welcome, Max. How are you?
I appreciate it. Doing well.
Yeah, good to see you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, Max and I met at the gym. Actually, a friend of ours connected us, and we started to talk about real estate. And before we got too into it, we just kind of hit it off. And I said, Max, we got to do a video because the stuff we were talking about. First, it was fun,
right.
At least for us. Man, we're real estate guys, so some people might not think it's fun, but we do. But we kind of hit it off, and I said, well, let's just talk about it and share the content with some of the viewers, and we'll get it up, and hopefully we can help some of you that are thinking of getting your first home or maybe your first rental property. So we'll get right into it. Max, so first of all, I wanted to talk to you more on the investing side because we both are investors.
Right.
I have several properties, you have several properties, but you're a little bit younger than me, so you've started quite a bit younger than I did. So share with us, because some of the younger people, they might see me and go, he's the old guy with some properties, no big deal. But in your case, you have quite a few. Kind of tell us a little bit about how you got started in that and what was a little bit of the process.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Angel Apartments in Guntersville, not a very great place. Mm-hmm. And that place has since been bulldozed and it's not there anymore. And after that, we moved to Mountain View Apartments. So I kind of had a rough upbringing. We didn't have a lot of money.
Okay. And
something clicked during my junior year of high school where I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna change it. Like, I'm gonna break the generational curses. And I'm just tired of it.
Okay.
And so I was like, what's the next step? Well, I want to go to college. Where do I want to go to college? South Alabama. I wanted to do economics because I knew that if you understand the economy, you can take advantage of it and make money.
Right.
And while I was down there, I joined the Army, and that's what allowed me to actually go to school free and everything. So I did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I did 8 years, and I'm sitting in college, I'm sitting in class, and I'm like, wow, this is not making me money, and I'm getting older, Because in this generation, everybody has to be a millionaire by 25, So I was like, I'm 19 years old, and I'm not rich yet. I need to do something. So I actually left college, dropped out my senior year, my last semester, and to take a job in Afghanistan flying spy balloons.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I did because they paid so much money on the contracting side rather than the military side or anything I was doing at home. And because I knew that it takes money to make money, and I need to make money now. Right. So that was the best route for me. And so I did that for 3 years until they shut down Afghan. And when I came home, I took that money that I made. I had saved everything. I mean, it was so intentional from before I even left home and joined the military. Before I went to college, like, I knew I was going to get into investing, and it moved from stocks to real estate, whatever. But when I made that move to go to Afghanistan, it was extremely intentional, and that I'm going to go and save every single dollar I make.
Right.
And when I come home, I'm going to start buying up properties. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's easier said than done because I'm reading books, and you read so many books, you get analysis paralysis, everything stresses you out.
Right.
But I finally found a property. A good friend of mine brought me a great property in Owens Crossroads.
Okay.
Around my second year mark of being in Afghanistan, and
so you bought it while you were in Afghanistan?
Yes. Yeah,
wow.
I came home on leave and closed on it and went back, and I kept the tenants. It was turnkey. It was a great property, beautiful brick home in Owens Crossroads, and I knew that was going to be a hot area, and I knew that the price I got, I think I only paid like $145 for it. I mean, an incredible price.
Right.
But even then, after all the reading and all the preparing and knowing that I had all this money saved up, I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's not the right one. Maybe I just wait on the next one. Maybe the perfect one will show up. That ended up being the perfect one. But I sat around. I almost lost it. I sat around just overthinking, and I was terrified. And I was like, I think the biggest thing that scared me was that, because we had talked before we started that it was fear, the unknown. And me, I'm very open on social media. I'm always telling everybody, everything I learn, I immediately pick up the camera, I record, and I want to share.
Oh, sweet.
So me actually executing rather than just talking on the camera all the time was terrifying, because what if they find out that I'm not actually as smart as I put myself out to be? Right. So I was really, really terrified. But I came home and it worked out after some choice words from some of my friends, some name calling, pushing me, peer pressure. That I came home and I made it happen. Yeah. And that one it's very, very rare your first one's a home run, but it was an absolute home run. My tenants are amazing. It was almost too nice because that's not always going to be that easy.
Right. You get spoiled. Yeah, you think every deal is going to be easy, right?
No, and it's absolutely not the case. And then with rates getting higher, it's become more of a challenge. You got to do more work. You actually have to renovate them, things like that. But that first one, just getting that first one over with and actually doing it rather than learning about it.
Right.
Especially in my generation, there's so much information that you get bogged down with all these options. You get the shiny object syndrome. Like, I can do this, I can wholesale, I can go buy commercial. I can get FHA and get a fourplex, and there's just so many options that people don't do anything.
Right.
But that first one, once you close, man, when I left that closing office and I got my truck, it was like all these years of talking and thinking and dreaming, it finally happened. Yeah. And it manifested itself, and I just broke down. Oh, man. Just absolutely broke down.
Yeah, it's a special feeling. I remember my first deal, and it was pretty good. In our case, it was a property that we intended on owning with my stepkids, my wife's kids. So it was a little, it was less scary, but it was still scary. But because we didn't have a ton of savings, and we used up all of our savings on that down payment. So, but yeah, and then when we bought the building, that was really scary for me because I've never bought a commercial property. But that's one thing I wanted to kind of talk to Max here. Is he had also mentioned that your properties right now are all single family homes? Is that correct? How many do you have right now?
I have 7. I bought 9. I sold 2. They're just not in the locations I wanted. I like to really stay along really, really good locations along Huntsville to Boaz, along 431. That's where I stay. Got it. I just try to stay super niche and focused. When it gets out of that, I just sell.
Now, so what are your thoughts moving forward? Now that you've got quite a few single family homes, are there thoughts of staying within that niche, or are you also considering maybe apartment buildings and or commercial buildings like the one we have here? What are your thoughts on that?
So the reason why I stuck with single family is, one, because it's less scary, I think. It's easier to find motivated sellers, things like that. With commercial, the sellers are normally investors, and they know what they want, and that they're going to get that, or at least somewhere close. So I wanted to build my foundation with single family homes. It's just like playing Monopoly. We were talking in the gym. You buy the green pieces and you trade them in. You get the red pieces. Yeah. Green pieces are a little bit easier to get into. Right. So I did that, but now I'm at the point now where I've got 7 single family homes now, and it's time to trade up. Yeah. And so, my mentorship, the people I'm seeking advice from, they're really doing it. And they're all commercial. My hard money lender, he's commercial. And so I don't know much about it. I know numbers and I know valuations, but I'm not in that circle of influence just yet. I'm working on it so that I can find a good deal. But I would love to trade in a couple single family and really go bigger with an apartment or a nice commercial building somewhere. But it's got to be a perfect deal, or I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that me and my wife are looking at. Is we're going to be building some condos up in some loft style condos upstairs in the 3rd floor. But we're also looking at other opportunities. I'm always looking at stuff, talking to brokers. And, one of the things about going into multifamily, which is apartments or commercial buildings, is that you have multiple tenants. And that's the one thing I like, because if you have a single family home and you have a mortgage and someone moves out, you're on the hook for that mortgage. No one's paying that mortgage for you until you get a new tenant. Now, if you fill it quick, good. You might only lose 1 month of what's called vacancy loss in the real estate game. But if you're in a commercial tenant, you have one tenant move out, you're actually okay because you have multiple tenants still paying all your bills. And so managing that risk is important to us at this point, and I think that's probably what you're feeling is you get a building instead of 7 individual houses with 7 mortgages, now you have one building and one moves out, one moves in. It doesn't really affect you because you're a little more diversified. I tell people all the time, one property is very scary because if they move out, you're on the hook. 2 properties, I always say 2 properties, if you can just get to 2, you don't have to have 100 units. If you can get 2 properties where this one's helping you pay for this one, you're already way ahead. Exactly. You're just in such a good spot. You get 3 and it gets even easier for it. But it's less risky to have more. And I know that sounds crazy, but if one person moves out, I'm good. We're okay. Yeah. But I remember early in the game, losing a tenant when I only have 2 properties and being like, oh my God, I can't afford this. Yeah. But yeah, I know commercial. I would love to have an apartment building. It'd be so awesome. And just full circle, always growing up Section 8 and apartment buildings. That's just been I've always wanted to own one. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like an ego thing. I'm not sure. But I've always, not even numbers. I just wanted to own one and make sure my tenants. We had horrible landlords growing up. They didn't fix anything. They didn't care.
Right.
And I'd love to just take care of a large group of people in one place. I think that'd be super rewarding.
You know, it's funny. I grew up middle class, so I never went without something, but I never had fancy stuff either. And I can honestly say, before we purchased the building, it was probably 6 months before, and I would never have dreamed of owning a commercial building. Like, it didn't even enter my head. I was happy with our 2 rental properties and the other rental house we had in California, and I was happy as a clam. I thought I was on top of the world. And then when I got into this, we're like, I've never done this. It was literally, I was losing sleep, and we did what's called a 1031 exchange. So we had to sell a property, find a like property, and then move the money through a qualified intermediary. It's something I had never done, and that was really hard and scary. But we got it done, and now I look back and I'm like, okay, let's do more, right? It's like after you do it, you're like, that wasn't so scary, you know. But I know how you feel about that. So let's see. One of the things that a lot of young people, and you hear this on social media, on the news, and people you talk to, I hear it too, is and I'm focusing on young people to try and get their first property, because I want young people to be in the position that I'm at and that Max is at right now at a younger age. I don't want them to wait till they're my age to like get started, right? But one of the things is they say they can't afford to do this. They can't afford it. What do you say?
It's so crazy. My first one, I genuinely thought I had to have the 20%, and I did. I put 20% down. I think I put $30,000 on that one, and then the second one I put $50,000. If I could go back, $90,000. The amount of properties I could have purchased with that. It's not just going to get a 20% down mortgage. Like that's just, there's so many different loan products.
Right.
And now I'm at a point now where now that I've actually established myself as someone who does pull the trigger, who does know what he's talking about, I know my numbers, and I know what I want.
Right.
I have a hard money lender now. He provides the money for my properties, and there's no credit check. There's no. It just is this guy. Does he know what he's talking about? Is he really going to go through with it?
Right.
So,
and now you have some equity too, obviously.
Yeah,
so
that's
a little
absolutely
easier too, because he knows you're a solid buyer.
I'm very slow with my growth. I'm very particular. My deals have to be greatly. I have to have a ton of equity baked in on day one, and they have to cash flow. When I came back from Afghanistan, I had lost my job because they shut down Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. There, when I came home, I had no job.
Right.
But I had properties.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there. I was like, when am I going to run the money?
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty much breaking even, staying at the same point, but they were paying for my bills, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Which I had a little bit too much time, had a little bit too much fun, and kind of got carried away. But this real estate stuff, it doesn't take a lot of money, and what it can do for you, the time value of it, it can just absolutely change your life.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife and I, she grew up in this area, and she was like dirt poor, and she will even say there were a couple times in her like 11, 12 years old where she opened the fridge and there was nothing in the fridge. There was like, half a jar of mayonnaise, and I mean there was nothing.
Yeah.
And she was like, looking around going like, what the heck? When you're 11 years old, your parents are trying, and everyone's case is different, but she grew up very little. So her and I are very like-minded. But my fear is, her fear is being hungry and poor. My fear is being old and poor, because I've seen, there was a lady, when I was 15 years old, I went to Mexico City with my dad. And I remember we're walking down the street in Mexico City, and I saw this woman who, I don't think she had her legs, like she maybe had the bottom, amputated. She had 2 or 3 little kids. She was on the side of the road, and she just looked, the word I use is destitute, just like broken, like her soul was broken with these 3 kids. And I remember that my dad, I remember the comment he said, that's why you need to go to college, son. And I never forgot that. And so being old without money always scared me. And so with me it was, do you want a new car? Do you want, there's stuff you want. But with me, I didn't want to be old and not be able to take my wife to dinner. And again, I'm not talking like 5-star, go to the Ritz-Carlton. I'm just saying go to a nice vacation, or be able to have the time to volunteer and do some things that I want to do.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting because that was my fear. And I'll share another story. Or another thing is, we have 2 single-family homes in Tennessee, and we had got them on 30-year mortgages, and then we refied out of them into 15-year mortgages. And people are like, well, why are you doing that? It's a rental property. Like, don't you want the cash flow? And I said, well, no, because me and my wife right now, we don't need the cash flow. We both have good jobs. So what we're doing is accelerating the payments of the principal of those 2 houses to pay them down sooner. And so we got a lower interest rate because a 15-year mortgage is less than a 30. So we're even paying it faster because of the lower interest rate. And by doing that, I'm 12 years out right now from having both those properties out. I'm 55. I'll be 56. So when I'm 67, we're going to have those 2 properties renting free and clear. Between that and Social Security, we're done. Like, we literally, our retirement is completely secure. And so, and that's not including this building or any other savings and IRAs and whatever we're going to do in the next 10 years in terms of properties. So we're set. Now, are we driving a brand new Ferrari? Are we living on the lake? No, we're not at that level. But we don't have to worry. My wife will never be hungry, and I will never be old and broke.
Absolutely.
And those are those are our 2 motivators. Like you have your motivation.
Yeah.
If you live poor in Section 8, you have a reason. You're like, I don't want to live like that, and I'm going to do what it takes, No,
and I remember it wasn't really my dad wasn't around growing up. My mom and dad split up young, and I remember looking up in the stands at my football games and, Dad not being there. Uh-huh. And I want to say it upset me, but it more so, like, pissed me off. Because I'm like, why are we in such a, you guys had so much time. Why are we in a situation, in a world that this is so, obtaining wealth and getting freedom is not as hard as everyone thinks it is. But they stop it, I don't know how to do that. Or they stop it, I'm too scared to do that. They're just too embarrassed to be seen fit to fail in the public eye. But I was so annoyed. I'm like, why is no one here to watch me? Because they had to be at work, or they didn't have a car, or they couldn't afford the tag on their car, things like that. Yeah. I'm like, guys, these are small issues that we can attack, and I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to show my kids that these will not be issues, and I will be at their games, and I'll be their coach if I need to be. Right. I just always wanted to get to a point where, which of course, as a young kid being a millionaire, I was like, I want to be a millionaire about 30.
I thought that too. Just so you know, when I was a kid, I that was the kind of the golden ticket was to be a millionaire. If you did that, you'd be happy and successful.
You could do what you want all the time. But that is absolutely not true. Right. If you're building a big thing, it's going to take a lot more time, and you're not just going to have big pockets full of money. You're putting it back into the business. Yeah. But that was always my motivation. It's like, I don't have kids yet, and I don't have a wife yet, but they're not going to be, have an absent father because he didn't handle business. Right. That's just not how it's going to be. Right. And I heard a really cool quote by Matthew McConaughey. He says, "Get him early, so you don't have to get him as often." Yeah. And I'm like, well, look, I'm 26. Like, if I can get a real snowball built, that's a Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett reference. If you can get a snowball built by 30, and just roll it into the rest of your life, you can live a super, super amazing life.
That's awesome. Great advice. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to switch into some real estate stuff because he's a realtor. I actually am licensed in California and Tennessee, but not Alabama. I'm not a practicing realtor. I got my license more for my own investing, but he is a practicing realtor. So first of all, on the market right now, share with people what you know about inventory, and this could be inventory in the local area and even nationally is a little more well known, but you can share that with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's super low, it's and everybody calls for the crash, and I was one of those guys a few years ago, like, there's going to be a crash, If you don't have inventory, for a thing that's extremely necessary, the roof over your head is necessary. Right. You want a place to put your children at night. Mm-hmm. Real estate, it's not just something like Bitcoin, you can just kind of like say, well, it is worth this. Right. It has an inherent worth. If you have something in low supply, in high demand, with an extreme inherent worth for survival, you're not going to have a crash. Right. We're not in a situation where we're going to have a crash. Right. There's a lot of money on the sidelines right now that is just waiting on, everybody's got a reason why they're going to keep waiting. But, they're going to wait on the election. Or the Fed keeps promising that rates are going to come down, and they haven't really done it yet. They're like, well, I don't know, let's keep watching inflation. So there's a lot of people just in the stands waiting. But that doesn't mean that they're not ready. They're not ready to buy. I mean, they're pre-approved. They're ready to go. Right. And it's just going to take a very small dip in those rates for things to explode. Like it's like dead wood in a forest, As soon as that match is struck, it's gonna explode to the upside. I really truly believe that. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that as an investor. I mean, if there's a crash, great, I'll go buy some properties. Yeah. That's what I'll do. Yeah. But I just genuinely don't see anything like that happening. There's just not enough supply, and the builders they're building these homes. In my opinion, a lot of them are lower quality homes, and they're not for lower prices. I mean, they're still very expensive for a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
You know, entry-level new builds are coming in, 1,300 square foot, being listed for $280, $250, $280. Yeah. You know, a lot of my buyers can't afford that.
Yeah, and we're in Alabama, so $280 here is different on the West Coast.
Right, yeah, it's not California.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I have the same thoughts on that as an investor, is that right now there's 3.2 million homes short in the nation. So I'm not just talking this area, the whole nation. But the other issue is there's a lot of millennials that have formed families that are living in apartments or with parents that are waiting for interest rates to go down so they can buy. So right now you don't have enough supply. When the interest rates go down and people start to move and sell their houses and do different things, there's going to be even less supply. So my opinion is that when the rates go down, housing prices are going to go up big time. So, the people, it's funny because whenever I see that recommendation by realtors and salespeople, if you ever read the comments on the business articles, it's always like some skeptic guy that doesn't own a house. He's like, no, that's what realtors do to try and sell properties. It's like, well, we'll review this. I mean, today is what, May the 17th, 2024. So this one's on record. So when this thing changes, we'll go back and look at it. And here's the proof of what Brandon and I, or Max and I were saying.
And there is some validity to that. I mean, there may be a lot of realtors that are going to tell you what you want to hear. But, me specifically, I never wanted to be a realtor. If anything, I was bashing realtors before I became one. Right. So I'm like, man, they just want your money. You guys, you can do this yourself. Use your... Yeah. Things have changed. Yeah. Now, as being a realtor, I know how incredibly important we are. But as far as how I portray myself and how I do business, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. Right. I talk myself out of so many deals. If I don't think it's a good deal, I don't want you to buy it. Because I know how big of a situation. I mean, it's a huge life-changing decision. I don't want you to make a bad decision. So if I say I believe homes are going to go up, it's because I believe they're going to go up. It's not because I'm trying to FOMO you into buying a house. Because being a realtor doesn't pay my bills. I mean, that's my job, but that's not why I'm a realtor. I'm not trying to get your contract and get you to take a picture holding the big red key just to get me paid. No, like I just genuinely enjoy doing what I do, and I'm going to make my money as an investor on the side anyways. So I'm a realtor because I enjoy it. I mean, especially as a slower investor, I love when I'm shopping. And you get to go look at a home, especially when it's real bad, and you get to make plans, and you look at it and be like, I want to do this. As a realtor, I get to do that every day now with my buyers. Like, look, this would be really good. This would be a really good idea if you did this. You could put an island bar here, just stuff like that. I enjoy being a realtor. I don't do it to coerce or FOMO anybody into making a decision, but I can see why people would say that.
That's pretty special. Okay, so I think that covers most of the real estate stuff. So just for fun, I came up with a fun quiz for Max here. So, first of all, and you get to answer just the first thing that comes to your mind. Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, good. Alabama or Auburn?
Alabama.
Roll Tide, roll Tide.
Yeah, roll Tide.
Yep. Country music or rock music?
Country music, yeah.
Country,
unless
good.
I'm working out.
Okay, good. 4x4 truck or a sports car?
Truck.
Truck, all right, good. Chickens or goats?
I don't know, man. Probably goats.
Goats, all right.
Goats are awesome.
Good. Yeah, I got some chickens now. My wife, we built a chicken coop, and we got 11 Orpington chickens. We got 2 roosters, and they're learning how to crow right now. They're about 7 weeks old. So.
Nice.
Last one is at the gym, leg day or arm day?
Oh, arm day. I'm skipping legs, I'm skipping legs, and That's all we do, podcast with the table above our legs.
That's right. Awesome. Well, this has been really fun. We enjoy talking about real estate. We're probably kind of nerdy when it comes to that, but we do know some things, and hopefully we've shared some things with you guys. And I think one thing we both agree on is you got to get over the fear. You're going to have to get some real estate and let it start working for you. And if you need help, you can check me out. My company's Unveil Wealth, and just look for marceldumerc.com, marceldoumeric.com. You go to my website, and I'm also on YouTube. And be happy to help you. And Max here, he's with Remax Realty in Gunnersville. So if you're in northeastern Alabama, there's a lot of nice homes out here. There's a lake. It's beautiful living out here, so you might be surprised how nice it is out here.
Yeah, I'm a little biased, but I mean, I've traveled the whole world with going to Afghan and traveling Europe and Asia and everything, and something kept pulling me back here. I stood on the Eiffel Tower and was thinking about, man, I'd love to be on Gunnersville Lake bass fishing.
Dang.
This place is special. I'm biased, but this place is special.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Awesome having you here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.